Don't go looking too closely at any family, or you'll find way more than you wanted. Every family has dirty laundry that they try to keep hidden from the rest of the world. The Obama family is certainly no exception to this rule. The difference is that they live their lives in the spotlight for all to see. As their time in the White House is coming to a close, all eyes are on this family. What will come of the Obama daughters? How will Barack and Michelle fill their days? More importantly, people want to know all the details that have been so closely protected over these last 8 years. First family gossip has been of great interest to the public for generations. When news broke that Franklin Roosevelt was confined to a wheelchair, it shocked the world. Years after his presidency ended, people were still talking about his and Eleanor's affairs. People found the Kennedy family so fascinating that they kept making headlines well after their time in the White House. Let's not even get started about Bill Clinton and his juicy secrets, that are not nearly as secret anymore. The Obamas have their own share of gossip. That doesn't mean it's all laced with scandal either. But as the family leaves the White House, they'll suddenly look a little more normal like the rest of us, and then the fun begins. So here are 15 secrets about the Obama family that just can't be kept quiet anymore. President Obama has stated that he has given up his admitted vice of smoking cigarettes. The White House has stated constantly over the years that he has been free of tobacco. Most Americans don't seem to have a major problem if he lights up. Because, after all, being the president is the most difficult job in the world. But despite declaring his independence from cigarettes, there are still photographs that have suggested that he might not have kicked the habit as we have been led to believe. A photograph taken at the G7 summit looks like he may be holding a pack of cigarettes. It's not definitive, but there have been rumors that the president still takes an occasional smoke break throughout his 2 terms in office. Now as he leaves the White House, we'll probably have an opportunity to find out for sure. After all, boredom can lead to bad habits, and without a job, he'll probably just be lounging around the house, right? Malia Obama was just in elementary school whenever her family moved into the White House. Now, she's graduating from high school, and rumor has it that she's beginning to get a little rebellious. Whether that's true or not, she is reportedly taking a year off before starting college at Harvard University. Who knows what she's planning for this year off? Is she going to backpack through Europe and find herself or study with the Dalai Lama in the mountains of Tibet? Who knows? But one thing is very clear, she feels that she needs a minute to take a breath. This doesn't fall in the normal pattern of first family behavior, but then again, who's to say what's normal? Good luck with whatever you do, Malia. Hopefully, this year will be just what you need. One nightmare for President Obama must have certainly been related to his daughter's access to social media as they've gotten older. Social media is dangerous enough for normal teenagers, but when you are the 2 most precious assets of the leader of the free world, it is downright terrifying. It's believed that Malia and Sasha both have social media accounts, including Facebook and now Twitter. This is obviously not something that the White House publicizes because of the microscope these girls have lived under for the last 8 years. Giving them a normal teenage experience is particularly difficult for the Obamas, but the President and First Lady have definitely done their very best. Good luck when they go off to college, Mr. President, because it surely won't get any easier. The Obamas do everything they can to look and act like a normal family. The truth is that they are anything but normal. Things that most people take for granted, like teaching your kids to drive, aren't as simple for the President and First Lady. Michelle Obama admitted that she hasn't driven herself in 8 years. Because of security concerns, teaching her is out of the question for the Barack and Michelle. So the next best thing is to have the Secret Service do the teaching for young Malia. Sure enough, when the time came for her to learn, they gave her driving lessons. It was important to the president that she get to learn to drive like her friends for the purpose of keeping some normalcy in her life. I'm sure once the Obamas have moved out of the White House, there will be a few more opportunities to get into a normal life routine. I wonder if Malia remembers those days when at Harvard University, President Obama signed up to be in a pin-up calendar. The selection committee was all females, and I guess the long story made short is that the president got rejected. He never appeared in the calendar and apparently didn't quite have what they needed in a male calendar model. The notion of a pin-up calendar is not what it used to be, but at the time the president was in college, it was a big deal. Lots of people have looked to President Obama as a great-looking guy, but when I suppose he wasn't quite what the ladies of the committee were needing. No doubt they are regretting the decision today. It's okay, Mr. President. There's not a calendar in the world that would reject you now. The First Lady has shared some of the details of her and her husband's early years. According to Michelle Obama, the president's first car was quite rusty. In fact, the car was so rusty that it had a hole in the passenger side door. Certainly there's nothing to be ashamed of, but it just goes to show that President Obama was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He knows and understands what hardship is like. Anyone with a rusty hole in their car door most definitely understands sacrifice and delayed gratification. While he won't be driving around in any rusty cars now, I doubt that he has forgotten the experience of his youth. I wonder if Malia and Sasha will have to drive a rust bucket for their first car. President Obama and the Democrats often get slammed for having a too relaxed concept of immigration policy. As it turns out, though, the Obama administration has deported or turned back more immigrants than any other president in United States history. This is shocking to many, because the assumption is that President Obama has been open and welcoming to all. This is simply not the case, with over 30,000 illegal immigrants turned away or deported each month. President Obama was able to secure our borders without building the Great Wall of Mexico. But without too much publicity and with many opportunities to extend citizenship, no one can say that the federal government has not been welcoming and fair to those that came into our country under less than legal circumstances. While not anything he's kept from the public eye and certainly something he is passionate about, President Obama was adamant from the start of his presidency that he did not want to focus on any one particular race. The African American community started out and continued to believe that he would be the biggest step forward in race relations. But for years, Obama made it clear that he was not promoting the advancement of a race, but of all Americans. A few years back though, he and his wife did begin the initiative called My Brother's Keeper that is aimed at helping young African American males get the support and chance at success that they deserve. He has stated recently that this will be a driving force in his post-White House work. The Obamas are going to be the first family to stay in Washington, D.C. after leaving the White House in nearly 100 years. The reason they have made the choice to stick around is because of youngest daughter Sasha. They don't want to take her out of school with only a couple of years left. So they made the decision to rent a little place in Kalorama, only a couple of miles away from the White House, also a rental. Sort of. This little cottage is over 8,000 square feet with 9 bedrooms that they're renting from former Bill Clinton Press Secretary Joe Lockhart. Most people just assumed that he'd be heading off to his Chicago home or perhaps somewhere completely new. But being the good parents that they are, they don't want to uproot Sasha. Again, Sasha Obama was very noticeably absent from her father's farewell address in Chicago. This was a huge moment for the president, and when his family joined him on stage, his youngest daughter was not present. Of course, immediately, the internet went crazy asking where on earth she could be during this important speech. The truth is she had an exam at her school the following morning in Washington, D.C. The school's policy is that absence during testing due to travel is not permitted. This seems like a pretty unusual circumstance and one that should be overlooked by the school. But Sasha is a good student and the Obamas are certainly rule followers, and rules are rules. So in one noticeable absence, Sasha Obama set the bar very high for any student absence in the country. Good job, young lady. Michelle Obama grew up in a household where money was scarce. When she told her teachers about her goals and ambitions, Michelle was told that she was setting her sights too high. To so many people, This seems almost criminal to stifle the motivation of any student. For many in her situation, this would likely have kept her dreams from becoming a reality, but for Michelle Obama, this drove her even more. She did what was necessary to qualify and attend a school for gifted children, and then leveraged that to attending Princeton University and later Harvard Law School. She is one of the most driven first ladies in history and today is an inspiration for countless millions. Imagine the damage those negative teachers could have done that would have changed the course of her life. Malia is interested in becoming a filmmaker. When you're the first daughter, there are a few extra doors that open for you. She was able to spend 3 months interning on the HBO series Girls in New York City. This must definitely have been a nightmare for the Secret Service, who have to accompany her everywhere she goes. An agent has to watch any chef that prepares her food, and agents are posted both inside and outside of restaurants. She doesn't get to take the subway due to security concerns, but otherwise, it's a pretty normal New York experience. Malia has been noted for her trend-setting style. New York City has definitely been a wonderful experience for her, providing some wonderful moments and opportunities for this aspiring young filmmaker and fashionista. As much as the President and First Lady want to keep their daughters protected from the spotlight, there's no getting away from them being two of the most influential teenagers in the world. With social media being utilized by both girls now, there's more opportunity for the world to see what's been shared. Malia has turned into something of a selfie queen over the last couple of years, posting pictures and videos. She's taken selfies that show off her personal casual fashion choices, as well as some videos of her dancing and letting loose. Pictures are always taken of her by the paparazzi, and there's no denying that she is becoming a beautiful young woman with amazing style and fashion sense. It makes you wonder, what are those college years going to bring for the first daughter? It seems that Sasha Obama is the more grounded of the president's daughters. While Malia is off interning for an HBO series in New York, Sasha is working at a fast food place in Martha's Vineyard. She doesn't seem to complain about this, but it certainly seems that the two are very different. Malia is a few years older, and certainly Sasha has plenty of time to get the same kind of opportunities as her older sister, but the differences between the two are noticeable. Certainly, Sasha seemed to enjoy the opportunity to do some normal teenager stuff, and even though the Secret Service were right there with her, it was probably a nice change of pace. Reportedly, the restaurant was a seafood place in Martha's Vineyard. I'm sure business picked up a bit when folks figured out who was taking their order. It has been reported that Malia has something of a wild side. This doesn't mean that she's a bad kid, but there do seem to be some wild oats to sow. It has been alleged that in September of 2016, the Secret Service had to escort her out of a party. The party was apparently so loud that the police were called and responded to the scene. Surely she was responsible and acted appropriately the whole time, right? Either way, there seemed to have been a few times where she was at a social gathering and needed to leave pretty quickly. This party in September was while the family was on vacation in Martha's Vineyard, so who knows how big or crazy it really was. But I can't imagine the President or Mrs. Obama wanting Malia in these kind of situations.